I've now lived alone for over 10 years, and some holidays I've been with family, and some holidays I've been alone, whether I was in Paris or Boston. It's not always been entirely smooth. I truly had to learn how to do the holidays alone. So I want to share a few things with you that I've learned along the way that you might find helpful. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sharri, and I'm so happy you're here. This channel is all about supporting you to create your own fabulous next chapter. Mine began in Paris, and I bring to you all that I've learned on this crazy next chapter journey that I am on. Well, back to the holidays as a solo. It's that time of the year again. It's that time of the year when you start to celebrate, you start to decorate, you start to plan, you think about gifts and holiday cards. Maybe you have some parties to attend or gatherings that you want to create in your own home. So many aspects of the holidays, though, are around celebrating with family and being a couple. So, what do you do if you live away from family or you're a solo? Well, let's start with decorating your home. You can choose to go all out or keep it rather minimalistic, but I encourage you to do something. Welcome in the autumn. Buy some pumpkins. Think about how you can create beautiful dried flower arrangements. Maybe it's hydrangeas or it's some bush branches, something that easily, transfers into the winter season. But do that because having that kind of vision in your apartment or your home or your condo or wherever you happen to live can bring a little bit of that outside in, even though, at least in North America, it's kind of dark at this time of the year. When I first got my divorce, I thought, oh gosh, decorating, what's the point? It's just me. Well, that was truly one of the saddest holidays I've ever lived through. There was nothing in my apartment that was representing the holidays that I was celebrating. And I now look at not decorating, not letting yourself do up your space as a form of self-punishment, if I can call it that. So I encourage you to decorate and to welcome in whatever holiday or season you love to celebrate. And when you get closer to the December holidays, welcome in the winter. Bring in those greens that you might put on your mantle or on a table, even a little spruce tree, or it can be a real tree, which they now have the mini ones, which are great. Put it next to a lamp in wherever it is that you're happen to be living. I was in a temporary apartment last Christmas. Excuse me, I got a cold from my grandchildren, and I so apologize for clearing my throat. But I was in a temporary apartment last Christmas, so I couldn't hang a wreath anywhere. And I had gone to this wreath making class, and I brought home this very beautiful wreath. Well, instead of hanging it up on the wall, I put it in the middle of the table as a centerpiece. And then I put like a layered cookie a stand in the middle, and I put all sorts of fruits and even some ornaments on that in the center. And it was beautiful. It was pretty, and it made me happy to look at it. And that's what's most important. Do you get a Christmas tree if you celebrate Christmas? It's up to you. You decide what really matters to you. And if a tree makes you happy, go get one. Whether it's real or it's fake, and how big it is depends upon how much work you want to put into it. But what's important is that it is what you want. And if having a tree makes you happy, go get a tree. Candles are another thing that can truly make your home feel very festive. Not everyone has fireplaces. I have two fireplaces in Boston, but you can't use the fireplaces because the buildings are old. And so consequently, I tend to do arrangements in the fireplace. I'm not there right now where I would show you. And then I use candles in the fireplace. You can do some that are not actually lit, that are the LED candles. Or you can do, if you want some sort of scent, look for scented candles that make you remind you of the holidays. And your sense of smell is one of the biggest triggers to memories. It's really fascinating. All you have to do is smell something that maybe your grandmother made, your mother made. Maybe it was in a place where you were at that scent brings back incredible memories. So look for a candle that takes you back to one of those good memories, those happy memories that you've loved and enjoyed. Be careful of candles, though, because candles can sometimes, let off fumes that can trigger migraine headaches. And so one of the things that I recommend, and I do it myself all the time, is I buy the baby candles first and make sure that I'm not going to get a headache from whatever is coming off of that candle. So anyways, just a minor little reminder. Number two is the menu. And I mean the menu, like if you're celebrating New Year's or you're celebrating Christmas or you're celebrating Thanksgiving or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever it might be, you need a menu, even though it's just you. Whether you are a solo or you've got somebody special across the table from you or your table is loaded with people, you need a menu. Plan out courses, plan out how you're going to make that dinner extra special. Maybe you're also going to have a breakfast menu for yourself. How interesting would that be? Not to make dinner special because you're a solo is just plain sad. And I know because I've done that. And honestly, all it caused me to do was basically to have tears dropping into my microwavable dinner. So don't do what I did. Celebrate it, even though it's you. Now, a few years ago, excuse me, I happened to be in Paris for Christmas, and I had just a fantastic time making out a meal of multiple courses. And if you're like, what could I make? Because I don't want to end up with all this leftover food. There are several really top-notch chefs who have created cookbooks for solos. And I think there should be more of these actually, because sometimes even when it's just a couple, you don't necessarily want a meal that is for 4 to 6 people. So Judith Jones has a beautiful one. I think it's called The Pleasures of Cooking for One. And then there's one that I have heard about called Going Solo in the Kitchen. And there's 2 authors. First one is Biz Valentini. I'll put it down in the show notes, and Hannah Ediger. And that book is titled Going Solo in the Kitchen. Anita Lowe also just published a cookbook called Solo, which is, as she describes it, a modern cookbook for a party of one. So those last 2 are on my list because I just loved what I saw was part of their table of contents, the different menus that they had planned out. And Anita's book, I thought, a modern cookbook for a party of one. How beautiful. It's got to be fantastic. So put that on your list. If you can't quite figure out, what am I going to plan out to eat and how am I going to modify a recipe for one when it's really set up for 4 to 6. Now, we also have to talk desserts, because desserts are something as solos that we often discount. But I have to share with you a dessert that I have had people almost swoon over. People have told me that they have dreamt about that dessert, having had it at my home, and that is Delia Smith's sticky toffee pudding. My grandchildren beg for it. Actually, my ex-husband begs for it. So that should tell you how good it is. Delia Smith is a British cook. I don't know that she publishes any longer, but she was famous really in Great Britain decades before Ina Garten hit the scene. So that gives you an idea of the time frame. Her sticky toffee pudding is in her Christmas cookbook. You can find it at thrift books. You can find it at used bookstores. I think you can still buy it on Amazon. It is a fantastic cookbook. There's also a recipe in that cookbook for sausage rolls, which I have made also numerous times, and people love them, absolutely love them. What's cool about the sticky toffee pudding as well as the sausage rolls are that you can make them in advance and freeze them. And I bring this up because sometimes what happens over the holidays, especially as you're solo, you will not only have just yourself for Christmas, say, or for Hanukkah dinner, but you might have several mini kind of gatherings where you have one or two other people join you at your house. And if you make those sausage rolls ahead of time and put them in the freezer, or the sticky toffee pudding, you can take out whatever amount you need for whoever is visiting you, even if it's impromptu, let it thaw out. The sticky toffee pudding, as an example, you let it thaw out, and then you make the sticky toffee, the toffee portion, on the stove, which is super easy, and you warm up the pudding portion, which in British circles or British culture, they call puddings what we in America might call cakes. I don't know about Canada. You'll have to let me know, or Australia. Do you call them puddings? But they're not pudding like Jello puddings. They're actually cakes. And so I make them in mini containers so that there are individual sticky toffee puddings. Then I take out of the freezer what I need, make my sticky toffee, and then warm up the pudding with the yummy toffee on the top. It's really wonderful. Now, if you're not into cooking, another option, but you need a pretty good sized city that you need to live in order for this to be an option, is to go to a beautiful hotel. And I say that because I've tried restaurants for, Christmas, for Thanksgiving, all of that, and I find them sad. I'm sad, not the restaurants, but I'm sad because the restaurants are filled with families and couples, and it doesn't feel as how do I say? It doesn't feel good. There's no other way to put it. Hotels are entirely different. And I think it's because hotels are comfortable with sometimes there being solo guests in a hotel. But that I did that a couple of years when I first moved back to Boston after my divorce, or actually it was during my divorce. And I can't remember which hotel I was at. It might have been the Mandarin. And I went there for Christmas Eve dinner. And I went to also tried a restaurant, Le Spalier, which no longer exists, and for Thanksgiving. And so I had a really good comparison of the two. And I would highly recommend a restaurant if you're not interested in cooking. Yeah, and another thing to think about, are there seasonal foods in your area that you can put on your list to go purchase and to make? Because those seasonal foods, or those almost cultural foods of a particular area, if it's something that you grew up with as a child, it like your sense of scent, a sense of smell, I should say. Those seasonal foods bring you back to whatever that holiday is. In Minnesota, as an example, I grew up in Minnesota, raised my children in Minnesota. It would be a trip to Ingebrigtsen's, which is a Scandinavian deli, I guess you'd call it. We go every year a few days before Christmas to buy the herring, the cod, the Swedish meatball mix. A perfect example. It's like, time disappears and I'm back as a child. In Paris, as an example, my absolutely favorite chocolate shop, it's on Rue de Bac, sells these chocolate covered cherries. Now, in America, chocolate covered cherries are not really cherries. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but they're good, but they're not really cherries. I don't know about the rest of you, and I'm sure Europe is much more like Paris. They're real cherries inside. They have a pit, actually, so it's a real cherry, and they're loaded with cherry liqueur. So it is like Those chocolate covered cherries are one of the most fabulous desserts after dessert when you're having your coffee. They're just incredible. In Boston, Italian Christmas bread, panettone, is everywhere to be found. And then the Jewish cookies, and I can never pronounce them. Hamachachin or something. Someone tell me how to say that. But they're shortbread cookies that are kind of turned into pillows, like a almost a I can't remember what they're called, but they brought each of the tails in, and the center of the cookie is filled with all kinds of goodness. It might be fruit, it could also be some sort of chocolate, that sort of thing. So, what is the seasonal cultural food of your particular area that only comes out during the holidays? That's something for you to think about and to bring into your home as a solo. Number 3, set the table with your beautiful holiday china, whether it's Christmas, whether it's Hanukkah, whatever it is, whether it's Thanksgiving, whatever you celebrate, bring it back to your table. And even though you've set the table for one, put on a beautiful tablecloth if you like tablecloths, and light the candles, have some candle holders, create a centerpiece, and use your good china, use your good silver. Why not? You're worth it, right? There's something about seeing that tablescape all day long as you work through, the holiday that really, I think, warms your heart. Another great idea is to give yourself the gift of an advent calendar. Advent calendars, they have gone nuts, actually. You can buy phenomenal ones that cost thousands of dollars. I think Dior's is thousands now. Cult Beauty used to be affordable. They've gotten kind of crazy also with their pricing. Cult Beauty had a fantastic advent calendar with all kinds of skincare and makeup products. But you can also find reasonably priced advent calendars. Fortnum and Mason, actually in London, does beautiful hampers as well as advent calendars that are not horribly expensive, and the shipping costs are not outrageous. I think it's $25 or 25 pounds per delivery to the US. Do something like that because it can be a very fun way for you to welcome in every day leading up to whatever holiday you celebrate. And that's important. Those little, opening up those little doors and finding out what is today's gift, makes you feel like being a solo is not so bad. It's actually pretty good. Lots of advent calendars are sold out right now. So, if you can't find what you want, put this on your list for next year. And kind of in that same theme, my number 5 is indulge in self-care sessions. Maybe schedule a massage or a facial. Decide if you don't want to schedule outside of the home, plan one for yourself in the home. A massage, and you can obviously massages are difficult, but you could do a fantastic facial. You could do a wonderful body scrub. It's a great way to pamper yourself. You could also get a manicure or a pedicure. As I've gotten older, I love pedicures. And there's nothing that feels better than, a fun color on your nails, or just skip the color and sign up for the foot massage with your pedicure. It's fantastic. I always say I feel like a cat when I'm getting my pedicure because I'm just kind of lounging and leaning into all that comfort. Another good suggestion for self-care is to create a movie and music playlist for yourself during the holidays so that you really have an agenda of things that you want to watch that kind of takes you into that space of the holidays, even though you're by yourself, and even music for when you're having your 3-course meal or whatever it might be. The holiday, You've Got Mail, White Christmas, those are some of my favorites. But what are yours? Create your movie list for the holidays. Number 7, write up your list for Santa. I know I'm an old woman, but I still, why not? Why not have a list for Santa, and make it about what you want for 2025? Let yourself be a child again, not a vision board, but just a fun list. For me, because I love decorating homes, I'm a little bit of addicted to that. That's why I keep moving. One of the reasons I do. I signed up for the interior design certificate at the Boston Architectural College, and I plan to start in January. I can't wait. I want to learn more about design. Now, am I going to be an interior designer? No. I'm not qualified. I'm probably not good enough at it, but it's something that I love learning about. And so that was on my Santa list. Another thing that feeds that particular interest of mine is to attend a couple of design shows around the country. And there was a lovely woman I met on the Victoria tour to England who brought up the Nashville Antique and Art Show. I believe it's called the Antique and Art Show. Might be the Antique and Garden Show, but it's Nashville. And we are meeting along with another friend of mine and her daughter. We're meeting in Nashville to attend that show. So you can see that list that you make to Santa Claus should be something that triggers your creative juices. And don't tell me you're not creative, because we are all creative. It might be a workshop, it might be a class, it might be a new hobby, it might be design day at your bookstore. Whatever it is, pretend you're going to see Santa. You're going to ask Santa for something, and let yourself connect with your kind of your childlike ideas. Number 8, enjoy the seasonal events wherever you live. If it's culture you love, go see the Nutcracker Ballet. Churches often have free orchestral concerts. Paris, they're all over the place. Search out winter festivals. There's some, whether I'm visiting my daughter and son in Minneapolis, or I'm in Boston, or I'm in Paris. Paris has them everywhere. Go see what they're about, see what the vendors might have. That's one thing I do love about Paris, is that they set up so many booths during the holidays, and it's both food as well as gifts that you could give to others. So check out your area. And if there aren't any, think about starting one, because I think it's a wonderful uh, activity to do. And it's sort of like a farmer's market. It gives the opportunity for people to showcase whatever it is that they're into, whether it's foods or it's certain crafts. The bottom line is, whether you're spending the holidays alone or with your children and their families, with your partner, whatever it is, make it a special time for yourself. That old saying, "'Tis the season," is true. And you can make it be whatever it is that you wish it to be. Why not? Holidays are a special time of the year, whether we're with a crowd, whether we're with a tribe, or we're with ourselves. So thank you, everyone, for joining me today. And click that like button if you enjoyed this topic, and subscribe if you haven't already. We all know that that matters in YouTube. And last, do share your comments. I'm sure that many of you have ideas that I haven't even thought of. And I can't wait to find out what your ideas are that I might incorporate into my life. That's what I love about our community, is we share. And that is truly important in this YouTube community. So take care, everyone. Enjoy the holidays, and I'll see you soon. A bientôt.